Hey guys, it's Samantha from Nerd Crew, and today I'm responding to the 5 Pops That Inspire Me challenge. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so if you don't already know, Admiral Funko issued a challenge a few weeks ago to show 5 pops that inspire you or kind of represent a piece of your personality. Brian has already made his response video. It is edited, it is posted in the channel, so go check that out. I'll link her video and his video in the description below so that you can see where the challenge came from and Brian's side of the challenge. We figured since this is such a personal challenge that we kind of needed to both make our own videos. It took me a little longer than him to do it. I think I have a problem seeing my personality, maybe because of some like depression issues and things like that I don't really see myself in one way. It's hard for me to define who I am sometimes. I kind of feel a little lost and scattered most of the time. So it took me a while. I really thought very hard about this challenge. But I think I came up with 5 that I'm pretty happy with, so I'm going to go ahead and share those with you now. Alright, so I did these in no particular order. So the first one I'm going to go ahead and get started with is Paige from the WWE. So I chose Paige because, to me, she's just a pretty genuine person. I feel that I've always been very genuine. I've never tried to be something that I'm not, and I feel that that's kind of the way that Paige is. Paige was really in the WWE in a time when she first started, when it was still called the Divas Championship, because most of the girls at that time were blonde and pretty and divas, really, and she never really was. She's more dark and gothic, and, you know, she kind of has her own style and her own thing, and it was different than what everybody else was doing, and that was okay with her, and it worked for her. And I guess that's something that's kind of inspired me, because that's kind of the way that I've been. It's, you know, my style has never really been influential or flashy or even noticeable, but I do have one. It's just comfortable, though, and that's okay. And her doing her style in a place where it wasn't necessarily the norm or accepted makes me think that it's okay for me to do my style and do my thing in a place where maybe it's not the norm or it's accepted. And if it makes me happy, who cares, right? So she's on there for that reason. Also because this girl has gone through heck and back. She's had a slew of bad relationships. She's had depression issues, eating issues, I mean, everything you can think of, and she keeps fighting. I mean, sometimes it feels like life just throws you all of the terrible pitches, and she just keeps getting up there and keeps swinging. So I guess that's why she inspires me. So that's it. Paige from the WWE. It's one of my 5. Alright, for the next 4, I kind of wanted to go with pops that represent pieces of my personality and also inspire me in ways. This first pop that I'm going to show you represents a piece of my personality that is not necessarily a good one. It's actually not a good one at all. So, this pop is Ursula. So, to me, Ursula, above all else, really wanted power. But the reason she wanted power is because she was jealous. She was jealous of Triton. She was jealous of the kingdom. She was jealous of Ariel. And she wanted what they had. I have been known to be a jealous person. I see things or people with things that I want or that I desire. And I think, man, they're so lucky. I wonder how they did it. I wish I could be that lucky. And I realize that most people that I see with these things did it through hard work. They're not lucky. They busted their butts for it. But that jealous ting in me always skews it as, oh, they were given it, or they received it because they're beautiful, or because, you know, they're rich, or whatever. A lot of people bust their butts for the things that they have, and I need to realize that more and more, and not just assume that people were handed things. So Ursula kind of represents jealousy to me, and is probably the worst trait of my personality, my little jealous tings. Thankfully, I have never done anything to take advantage of or try to take something from somebody that I was jealous of. It's more just an observational jealousy. So at least I can say I've never actually acted upon my jealousy, that I've never done anything to take advantage of or get something from somebody that I was jealous of. So there is that. So yeah, Ursula kind of represents jealousy to me, and that is probably what I feel is one of my biggest character flaws. So, Ursula. Alright guys, up next is Black Widow. So this is my Black Widow pop. It's the blonde one. I'm not really a fan of Black Widow as a blonde. I prefer her as a redhead, but you know, whatever. It's the one we have. So I chose Black Widow because if you are unfamiliar with Black Widow's backstory, her memory was wiped several times and replaced with false memories. I have an awful memory. Brian will tell you that I can't remember anything. My memory is awful. You ask me something 10 minutes later, oh, I got it. With serving, I'll remember what you ate. I'll remember what you're drinking. That's no problem. But as far as like tangible memories, I have a very difficult time with them. Like, I remember bits and pieces of our wedding day, but I don't remember everything. It's the same with my childhood. I remember bits and pieces. I remember my dad. I remember my mom. I remember, you know, good times that we had. But I sometimes wonder how realistic my memories are. I wonder if it's memories that I've pieced together from seeing photographs or hearing stories, or if it's things that I actually remember. So I feel like for Black Widow, that's what she spent a lot of time trying to figure out, is whether or not the memories that she was having are real or not. Was she really a ballerina? Did she really do these trainings? Was these things real? So I definitely resonate with that. Also, she goes from being a bad guy to being a good guy for the people that she loves. She loves the Avengers. She loves all of those guys. She loves Hawkeye more than all else. And she just wants to be a better person for them. And I think that that's something that influences me as well. The people in my life, I want to be better for them. And I try to be better for them. Sometimes whether they believe it or not. But also, she is a kick-butt girl in a group of dudes. And that's always been me. I have never been one of the girls. I've always been one of the boys. So she is a girl, a woman, in a group of men. And that's pretty much been my life. I've always been into sports and toys and action figures and movies and video games. Well, not really movies. I'm not a big movie buff. It's weird, right? My husband always is like, why don't you watch more movies? I'm like, I don't know. But video games, sports, guy things. Like, I'd rather go out and shoot a gun than, you know, go clothes shopping. It's always been, I've been around the boys. I've always been one of the guys. So for her, she's one of the guys. She's one of the Avengers, you know. She was the first female Avenger, and there wasn't one until Scarlet Witch came along. And Scarlet Witch is still kind of far more feminine than I believe that Black Widow is. Nobody really worries about Black Widow. Like, the boys don't need to protect her. She can take care of herself. She can hold her own. And I think that that's always how I've been. The boys never really worried about me. Like, they never thought, oh, poor, you know, Sam, let's make sure that she, you know, is taken care of. Like, keep an eye on her. Something might happen. No, I can take care of myself. Like, and they knew it. So, Black Widow's on there because she's a kick-butt girl in a group of dudes. She's got some memory problems, and girl, I feel you there. So, Black Widow. All right, guys, up next is Luna Lovegood. So she's next on this list because just like Paige, she walks to the beat of her own drum. She is out there, she is weird, she is silly, and this is me to a T. Her family believes in things that other families don't. My mother and my grandmother were both into the Wiccan religion, and I was for a while as a teenager as well. It's kind of something that's been passed down through my family, reading tarot cards and things like that, and witchcraft and all of that. So when I was in high school, I got ridiculed a lot because I wore a pentacle. Like, I had tarot cards. I had these things, and I grew up in a very, very Christian town, and they didn't really understand that it wasn't devil worship, that it was really just worshiping gods, multiple, unlike other religions, but in a different way. Like, yeah, we did it with candles and incantations that rhymed, but it was just prayer. It's just candles and prayer. But people didn't understand that, and people don't understand Luna and her father and all of their crazy theories and all of their crazy antics. So she definitely resonates with me for that, for sure. Also, Luna lost her mother when she was very young, and I lost my father when I was young as well. I was probably about 10 when he passed away unexpectedly from a heart attack, and it was just me and my mom, and it was just her and her dad. And it was tough, but she did it, and she understood that it didn't make her life any worse than anybody else's. Losing her mother didn't mean that her life was over, or that even that it was worse than other people's. Yeah, something bad happened to her, but she got a lot of great knowledge from her mother while she had her, and she also gets to carry on her legacy. And it made her able to see thestrals when nobody else could. And so that's why she knew some of the oddities of the world, is because she had to deal with loss at such a young age. So I really do love Luna. She is just her own self, no matter what. She does not care about what you think of her, and sometimes she frankly just doesn't even get why you think that. It doesn't make any sense to her why you think she's weird, and I don't get why people think I'm weird sometimes. I feel that everything I do is perfectly normal, but some other people probably don't feel that way. So I understand where she comes from. Our shared loss of a parent kind of really, I think, resonates with me as well. And then just her weird family, her weird dad, my weird mom, who I love, who is my everything. And then just knowing that sometimes you believe in things that other people don't, and that's okay. And the best you can do is try to educate them to make sure that they're not misinformed, but you can't force them to believe the things that you believe. And her father never tried to force anybody to believe anything. They provided information to people that wanted to learn, but they never forced it on anybody. They never went and said, oh, you must, you cannot. Here's a paper, read about it. You want to see about Narwhals? You want to learn about Narwhals? Here's a paper. Read about Narwhals. I think they're real. This is why I think they're real. So, I really do love Luna Lovegood. She is one of my all-time favorite characters. This is also one of our most valuable pops. And when I saw her, I couldn't pass her up. Those glasses are just too sweet. I really need a pair of those glasses in my life. Maybe next year for Halloween, I'll go as Luna Lovegood, and I'll give me a pair of those glasses. So, Luna's definitely on my list. I love her a lot. Really is one of my all-time favorite Harry Potter characters. It makes me wish I was a Ravenclaw just so that I could share a house with her, but unfortunately, I got sorted into Hufflepuff, a house that I hate the colors and I hate all of it, but it is what it is. You can't choose your house. Your house chooses you, right? So, but Luna the Ravenclaw, smart, intelligent, in a whole different way, though. She's not book smart. She's not, normal smart. She's intuitive, and she's creative and silly. So, Luna Lovegood. I love her. Alright, guys, and last but not least, also out of the magical world of Harry Potter, is Neville Longbottom. So, I identify with Neville probably way too much. Neville is forgetful. He is clumsy. He is a big dork, which is absolutely 100% me. Socially awkward, kind of weird, but in the end, he is loyal, and he has a very strong sense of what is right and what is wrong, and will stand up for it even when it terrifies him, and he is terrified a lot. I live a good portion of my life in fear of whether or not the decisions that I make are the right ones and how they will affect myself and other people. And in the end, I man up and I make that decision, and I do it based on what I believe is right, and that is Neville. He stands up to Harry, Ron, and Hermione in the Gryffindor common room when they are trying to leave, and he is terrified to do it because those are his friends, and he does not want to lose them. He does not want them to be mad at him, but he knows that it's dangerous and that they shouldn't go, and that it's not necessarily the right thing as far as the rules are concerned, and he stands up to them anyways. And that is very, very brave. And then you go further into the movies and you learn about his family, and that his mother and dad were tortured by Voldemort, and that he has this strength because he wants to honor them. They were so brave, and he lived so much of his life without them because they gave their lives for the good of the community. They held strong. They did not give information. They did everything and so much more. And he's so proud of them every day. And it has this unique driving factor for him. And in the end, it's really Neville who ends it. If you have not seen all of the Harry Potter movies, or you don't remember, or you don't want this spoiler, just go ahead and skip forward a little bit. I'll tell you when. But at the end of the Harry Potter movies, when everybody thinks that Harry is dead, Neville grabs the Gryffindor sword, and a boy who's been terrified his entire life, who through friends found confidence and found his bravery, picks up that sword and chops Nagini in half, destroying the last of the Horcruxes, and really just puts a dent in the whole thing. The exclamation point. So Neville, to me, I might be weird, I might be shy, I might be a little out there, but I, like Neville, am capable of far more than people know, and I know that deep down. I know that in times of need and in times of struggle and toil, that I can step up. I can be a leader. I can make that big decision just like Neville did, and that is probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, in the books, in everything, when Neville just really comes into his own and says, if Harry can't finish it, then I'm going to do my darndest to finish it. So Neville Longbottom, it's my dude right there. Growing pains, going through the awkward stages, being clumsy, being forgetful, having a hard time with it all, and then just turning it on when it's absolutely necessary. A lot of times I feel like I stumble through life. I forget to do things. I'm scatterbrained. I'm all over the place. But when it comes time to get something done, and it really needs to get done, I can buckle down. I can become a monster. I can rip it apart. I can take it by the horns. It's proof of my work. Last night at work, slow, I'm kind of out of it, whatever. It gets busy. I get 5 tables at once, and I turn into super server. Even my manager was like, I think you're fine. You have 1 table on one side. Tables all over the restaurant because half the staff's not in yet. And she's like, I've seen times where you struggled with 2 tables, but you have 7 right now. Well, because it's needed. Because I guess I just have this part of my brain that's like, okay, it's time to get serious, so get serious. And Neville has that. Like, it's time to get serious. It's time to pick up the sword of Gryffindor. It's time to be the man. Like, nobody else is going to do it, so you have to. And I guess I get that in me. When nobody else is going to do it, this thing kicks into me and goes, well then, if nobody else is going to do it, I'll do it. Nobody else is going to lift that keg for me. Guess what? I'm going to lift the keg. I'm going to do it. So, it's all about finding strength when you need it. When nobody else is going to help you. When there's nobody else to help. When nobody else is going to step up. Finding that strength in yourself, even when you don't think you have it. That's a big one for me. So, Neville is definitely on the list. He's definitely one of my favorite Harry Potter characters. We actually just recently picked up this pop, and I didn't even know it existed until we walked into Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne while Admiral Funko was in town. I saw him, and I was like, I didn't know he was a pop, and I had to have him. I love this character. He really is. He's me. Me and Neville. My twinnie. Alright guys, so these are the 5 pops that I chose for my Inspire Challenge that you guys just saw. Like I said, all of them mean something to me in different ways. Paige is just who she is. Entirely genuine, authentic, just herself 100%, and that's what I want to be. I want to be an authentic person. I don't ever want to be fake. I don't ever want to do something just to fit in. I just want to do things that I want to do because they make me happy and they make me successful. Ursula I chose because she represents probably my biggest character flaw of jealousy. Black Widow because her being one of the boys, and that's always been who I've been, and her false memories and not knowing whether or not things that she remembers are real. I've always had that problem. Neville because he is the epitome of bravery, even when he's terrified, because he stands up for what's right and he digs deep when needed. So definitely a big part of me. And then Luna, the loss of her mother, really resonates home. Being raised by a single parent who isn't always your typical parent. My mom was my best friend. I probably got away with a lot as a kid because of that. I was parented. My mom was my parent. She was there for me in every way I needed. She supported me in everything that I did, but she also let me make my own mistakes. I was allowed to do more or less whatever I wanted as long as I was safe, as long as I was smart. I was allowed to go to parties. I was allowed to stay out late. I was allowed to, do these things. As long as I wasn't driving, if I went to a party and had a beer, my mom wasn't going to be mad at me, because she knew that I was going to be smart about it. As long as I made good decisions, I was allowed to be myself, to do the things that I wanted to do, to make the mistakes that I wanted to make. And, when it did become a problem, when I wasn't being smart about it, I was reprimanded. And I got in trouble, of course. But as far as that, it was, you want to go over to your friend's house and stay the night and you guys are going to have a couple beers. Okay, just don't drive. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get wasted. Don't, whatever. So, I grew up in a different family. My mom was a little weird. Most parents didn't get the way she did things, didn't understand the fact that I had this freedom, that I could, dye my hair whatever color I wanted, and I could, wear whatever I wanted, and see whatever movies, and listen to whatever music, and blah, 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 blah. Nobody got that, but my mom just wanted me to find me. And as long as I was safe and as long as I was happy, that's what mattered to her. And I hope that when I have a child that I can do the same to some extent. I'll probably be a little bit stricter on my kids than my mom was on me because I did get away with a lot. But I do want them to find themselves. And I do want them to be their own person and to make their own mistakes because that's the only way you're going to learn. So when I was younger, I got forced to grow up at a young age because my dad did pass away when I was like 10 or 11. And then within a year after that, my mom went down with major back surgery. So she wasn't working. She wasn't able to really move or walk around. So I was doing all of the grocery shopping. I was doing a lot of the meal preparation, trying to help keep the house clean and do whatever I could for her because she was, she was laid up. I mean, a lot of the reason that she was laid up was her back, but I think also for her, she lost the love of her life. I lost my father, which is devastating, but my parents, they loved each other like nobody I had ever seen before. I'm actually probably going to get a little teary right now. They loved each other like nobody I'd ever seen before. A little backstory, my mom and dad were 22 years apart in age. My dad was 22 years older than my mom. He was a year older than my grandmother. That's right. My dad was born a year before my mom's mom. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter to them how big the age difference was or anything else. My mom was an old soul, just like I am. If you didn't know, Brian's 8 years older than me. I've kind of always been in relationships with men that are at least a good bit older than I am because all of my friends are older than me. My best friends, the people who I love in New Orleans, who I left, they're all anywhere from 15 to 20 years older than I am. Because those are the people who I've always been drawn to. Because I did grow up much earlier than most kids did. When I was 16, I was very, very, very independent because of my earlier childhood. So when I was 16 and 17 and 18 and 19, I didn't get along with kids my age because I didn't understand how they couldn't do their own laundry or pay their bills or had responsibility and like had a job and had to go to work. I didn't get it. So I've always been an old soul, and my mom was too when she was younger. And her and my dad had from, again, what I remember, a very good relationship. Yes, they had their problems. Yes, they had their fights. And yes, my dad had a temper from time to time. But when it came to it, my dad would bring home flowers for my mom for no good reason. And my mom would do the same for my dad. Like, what guys get flowers? My mom would bring my dad flowers and he loved it. Like, just because. My dad'd be at Walgreens or wherever and they'd have flowers. And he'd be like, you know what, that's a great idea. I'll bring Teresa home some flowers and a card just because I love her. And he did the same for me when I was a kid. And I miss him so much. I don't really talk about him as much. I think Brian knows some things, but not a lot. And I try not to get emotional about it. It's been so long since he's been gone. And it's been a really long time he's been gone. And I've gone through a lot of things that I wish that he could be here for. I know that I would be an entirely different person, though, if he was. So I can't be too upset. And losing him was terrible. But I have no idea what my life would look like now if he was here. My dad was far more strict than my mom. I probably wouldn't have done the things that I did when I was younger. Who's to know if my life would be better or worse? But right now, I really like where I'm at and the person I am and the person that I'm with. I love Brian. He is my other half. He is my nerd matches his nerd. And I'm extremely lucky that I found him. And I can't say if things were different, if my dad had lived and not passed away, if I would have ever found him. So I can't be too upset. My life would be different. Yes. Better? Who knows? There's no way to know. And I can't think about that. I can't wonder what if, because my life is really good right now. And I need to be appreciative of that. And that's how I deal with the loss of my father. at this stage in my life. I deal with it knowing that if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am right now. I would not be making this YouTube video. I would not be married to Brian. I would not be in Orlando, Florida. None of these things probably would have happened because my life would have been entirely different. My mom and I would have never have left California. My dad would have never have left California. We would have never moved to Louisiana. If I didn't move to Louisiana, I wouldn't have met the people that are some of my best friends now, that are my extended family. I wouldn't have stumbled and fallen the way I did. Now, granted, if my dad was still alive, I probably would have graduated high school and went to college, and maybe I would have become the lawyer that I dreamed of being one day, and maybe I would have been the governor of California like I dreamed of being one day when I was younger. But maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would have rebelled. Maybe I would have been even worse off than I was. Who knows? I can't wonder what if. All I can do is be appreciative of the time I had with him. I know that if life hadn't gone the way it gone, I would not be where I am today. So there's that. Alright, guys. So now that got a little heavy, so let's go on to who I'm going to challenge for this challenge. I do really want to keep this challenge going because I think it is a fantastic way for us to get to learn about one another. I've learned so much about Admiral Funko, Funko Pops and Unicorns, and Waver Ramon from the challenges that they've put up, and from Brian. Just watching and editing his, I knew a lot of these things already, but to hear him voice it and to hear him put it out there in a way that was so vulnerable to be put on YouTube for an audience was really a wonderful experience. So I want to go ahead and challenge some people as well. Now, granted, you don't have to get as deep with it as some of us have, or you can go deeper if you want. Whatever you're comfortable with. This is really just about a way for getting to know you and how you see yourself, or who you'd like to become, or what drives you, or why you collect these things. Like, most of us have a deeper reason for having these things other than, oh, they look cool. They mean something to us. What do they mean to you? What do they inspire you? What made you go, oh, I love this character because, you know, they're absolutely brave, or they're super crazy, and I wish that I could just let go like that. You know, tell us something about it. So the people I'm going to be challenging are Emma the Narwhal and Em's dad. They just recently supported us through a live stream, got us to 100 subscribers. I love their channel. Emma, you're super awesome. I want to know what pops inspire you. I want to know who you want to grow up and become. The next three people I'm challenging are NerdSmithing, Nerdy Treasures, and Papa Lucha. I want to see your guys' 5 inspirational pops. I want to know what inspires you, what makes you want to do this YouTube thing, what makes you want to collect these toys. I love your guys' channels, and I just really want to get to know a little more about you. Alright guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video and doing this challenge with me. If you guys haven't already watched Brian's response to this challenge, I'll link it in the description, as well as Admiral Funko's original challenge and some of the other people that have responded. There'll also be links to the channels that I challenged as well, so you can go check out their content. We do have some other challenge videos up for you guys to view if you guys want to go ahead and check those out. They'll be at the end screen, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.